Welcome everybody to today's video. In this lesson, we are going to be talking about the verb ser, which in Spanish is a super important verb. It is used all the time. In fact, it is used so much that we've already seen a lot of examples of how to use it and when to use it. So, without any further explanation, let's jump in and identify where we've seen this verb before. So if we were to give some examples of phrases that we should already know, we have seen the phrase or the question, ¿De dónde eres? And we know that this is, where are you from? So looking at this, we could identify that this is you are. Right? If we were to go to the response, we could see that the response is soy de Texas. And breaking this response down, we could see that soy means I am. So you're saying, I am from Texas. And now if we were also talking about family members, we could say things like Maria es mi mamá. Okay? And we would be able to see that, oh, this means is. As in, Maria, she is my mom. All of these examples, like soy, eres, es, those are all examples of ser. So let's take a further look at what this verb actually means. So ser in English is translated as to be. Now if we're talking about different people, even in any language, we don't say, I be tall. I be from Texas. You be smart. He be short, or anything like that. We don't say be. We change it depending on who we are talking about. So if you're talking about yourself, you change it from I be tall to I am tall. If you're talking about somebody else, you might say, instead of saying he be tall, he is tall. That changing of the verb be to match the person that you are talking about is called conjugation. Conjugation happens in English, just like I showed you guys there, that we are changing it to I am, you are, we are, he is, depending on who we're talking about. That also happens in Spanish. So we are taking ser, which is to be, and we are changing it into these different forms. So soy, just like if you're saying soy de Texas, or soy de Washington, or soy de Yelm, we would say this is I am. And eres, just like if you're saying de donde eres, this means you are. But we know that in Spanish there's two different forms of you. There's the informal, casual way of talking, and there's also the formal, respectful, business-like way of talking. Eres goes with tu, the casual form. Which means there's also another way, the respectful form, the usted. That is down here. Usted. So this could also be you are. But if you were talking respectfully to that person. So if you were talking to your boss, you would say, ¿De dónde es? Es, as we also saw in the example with my mom or your dad or your uncle or anything like that, could also mean he and she is. Like that. So now we've changed ser to be soy, I am, eres, you are, es, you are respectfully, or he or she is. On this side here, we are going to say somos is we are. Sois, right here, this is you all are. But we also talked about this when we were talking about you, and the different forms of you, that there's the singular form, tú and usted. There's also a plural form, and that is vosotros or ustedes. And if you remember looking back at your notes, vosotros is only used in Spain. That is this one here, which is why it's grayed out a little bit more, because you're not probably going to use this one unless you go to Spain, and there's a few countries that might use it, but it's typically only in Spain. So we're just going to put Spain up here. In Mexico or Cuba or Puerto Rico or anywhere else like that, you're going to use son. So this is you all are. And it is also they are. So there you have it. Here we have I am, you are, the respectful form of you are, he and she is, we are, you all are in Spain, and you all are, and they all are in here. Now, if we are looking at other phrases that we know for things like I am well today, if you're asking how somebody is feeling, you looking back, you don't say soy, you say estoy bien. And if you're asking how they are, you don't say como eres, you say como estás. And when you're talking about the weather, you don't say it is hot, es caliente, or you say, oh, hace calor. So there's some situations where you're going to use these things, and there's some situations where you won't. So let's talk about those ones over here. Uses for ser. We have this handy mnemonic device, doctor. If we're going through these, each one of these letters describes a different situation in which you would use the verb ser. So looking at this, the D is for a description. So if you are describing what somebody physically looks like, whether they be tall, short, thin, fat, anything like that, you are going to use ser. So that's why we say soy alto. Tú eres baja. Things like that. That is a description. The first O is a occupation. So if you were describing somebody's job, if you said, mi prima es doctor, or if you said, Mark y Anthony son profesores, anything like that, then you're describing their occupation, what they do for a living, use the form of ser. C stands for characteristic. So if you are describing what somebody's personality like, that they are inteligente or cómica or anything like that, that's characteristic. It's a use of ser. T is for time. Pretty simple. If you're describing what time it is, use ser. O is for origin, where somebody originally came from. So this is why we go back and we say soy de Cuba, soy de Costa Rica, anything like that. If you're describing where somebody is from, use the form of ser. And the last one, R, is for a relationship. So this is why we say things like Maria es mi mamá, Pablo es mi papá, Mark y Carlos son mis primos, anything like that. Any kind of family relationship or a friend. So if you said, Carlos es mi amigo, that's going to be a form of ser. All of those ones there. So we could take some examples. We could say, just like I said here, Carlos es mi amigo. So Carlos is my friend. So that goes right there to relationship. We could continue on and say Carlos es, let's do a description here. Let's say he is gordo. Carlos es gordo. So there's our description. So anytime we're relationship, description, anything like that. Now if we do Carlos and somebody else. Carlos y Mark. Okay, so now we have two people here. So we're not going to use es because that's for one person. We're going to use, they are. So let's use son. Son. Let's do a characteristic. Let's say muy cómico. Okay. Now with this one though, we have two people that we're talking about, so we have to make cómico es. Carlos y Mark son muy cómicos. So there's some simple examples that we can go through and we can use. Looking at this though, all of these 6 instances of using it is kind of hard to remember. Okay? It'd be a lot easier if we could just simplify it down into 1 or 2 easy to remember situations. We can't, because looking at all of these, things like description, occupation, characteristics, relationship, things like that, all of those are about things as they normally are. This sets the expectation. So we can simplify this down by saying things as they normally are. And that's it. If you're talking about the normal expectation, the regular way things are in the world, you're going to use the form of ser. If it's something different, then we're going to use different things. Okay? And we also have a rhyme. So we can use a little rhyme to remember this as well. This rhyme says, for who you are, such as a description, occupation, right? You are a doctor, you are a teacher, you are a mechanic, anything like that. Or your characteristics, these all, your relationship, that's for who you are. Or from where, okay, for who you are, or from where, always use the verb ser. For who you are or from where, always use the verb ser. There you go. Okay? So this is all about ser. As I mentioned before, it is an extremely useful verb. We're going to use it all the time. So have this. We'll practice with this going forward, and we'll get lots and lots of experience and practice with this. Let me know if you have any questions. Adios. Muchas gracias.